We're breaking the mold. Who said that? Sam Schleff said that
That's
to me
right.
today.
Really?
Other day.
Shout out to Sam Schless.
Yeah. She just said we're breaking the mold. No one
Yes.
is making a podcast about making a podcast.
Yeah, and also everybody on a podcast, I didn't know this, all agree with each other. They get like-minded people.
They gather
uninteresting
Well, I
way.
just
People who are
realized the other
like
day
them.
during, it was Pride Day 1 or whatever, I texted Rachel, it's like, how random that we're both lesbians.
Yeah.
Like, it just hit me. I'm like, what? She's also a
Sometimes
lesbian?
the audience of a podcast is similar to the hosts.
Sometimes.
What do you mean?
Oh, autistic. That's our
I
audience.
see. Okay, but what were
Hello
you
to
going
the
say?
autistics. We're here for you.
Okay, actually,
If
I
you're
just want to
autistic,
clarify
this is the
because
podcast for you. I had an incident yesterday that I don't know if this is autistic or anxiety, but I ran into your friend. And the first thing I did to him was, oh, I hear you have a big writing job on this. Now, I really just wanted to say muzzle tough, but I think I made him feel awkward or jealous or something like this, rather than just, I've been such a fan of his videos. And I think
what did you say to him? I missed it.
I
Sorry.
just said, oh, you have a big job on this. How is it with your co-host? Is it awkward that, you know? And I think I made him feel awkward.
Definitely.
Oh, you think so?
No question.
And so I'm wondering, do I message him and say just mazel tov? I didn't mean to make you feel awkward or point you out, because even though his comedy is so big, when he's in real life, he's very demure.
So you said to him, is it weird with your co-host because you're thinking maybe it's uncomfortable that you're a lot more successful at this point?
Yeah, just as a joke. They work so closely, and we talk about this openly on our podcast. So I thought it was like a relatable thing. But maybe
But
it
wasn't
wasn't
one of
relatable.
his co-hosts with him?
One was, yeah.
This reminds me of one of my friends lost a bunch of weight, and this girl at a party was like, "Does your husband just feel like he's not worth you now?"
No, I know. This is something that I did yesterday. So what should I do with Eric? Will you ask him if he's okay?
It's fine. He doesn't care.
It's not actually.
Shout out to
comfortable.
Eric Muzzle Tov. I mean, such a funny guy.
I don't think that's a terribly big sin.
No.
Do you?
Is that autistic to
it's-
think about things like that?
Yes, perseveration. Yeah, so social anxiety is like a common co-occurrence with autism. Because
that's
you
I
social
really want to
anxiety.
dig into trauma and autism
yeah,
because
okay.
I think that a lot of people who weigh in on this with us are like, it's not autism. It's like they had these traumas. It's not this. It's something else. And my sibling. Wait, I asked.
That sweatshirt is so awkward. The way that
Robbie.
that shoelace
Oh my God.
really no, but it cuts off. She has such
It's
good
All
clothing.
Saints.
She has such good
I
clothing.
told you I came here for 2 weeks and then I got a job and I haven't been able to.
I have clothes maybe for you.
Oh, how fabulous!
I don't know if you'll fit into them.
I just noticed something. If you say her name, she smiles. She wants that. She wants you to go, Robbie. She smiles.
Hey,
Oh,
Rob.
I'm
you know what?
rewarding it.
You know what I learned in sales?
What?
Everybody's favorite word is their own name.
Oh.
I use that all the time. I use people's names as much as possible. It's nice to feel seen and to be just recognized.
But I was shouting your name like, stop it. And you smiled.
Okay, I still like it.
This is what my sibling said.
Okay.
Ask her about trauma stuff. Ask her about implanted memories and regression therapy.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot to ask about. Okay.
I don't know much. Well, it's because maybe I was molested,
Okay.
but I don't know. I mean, I
Okay.
think that's what they're referencing, but maybe
But
not.
she doesn't, by the way, she was not molested.
Okay. Based on.
She literally, she's been talking herself into being molested.
Based on.
Just her own conversations.
With you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's it. That's all we needed to know. You had a conversation with one person who doesn't think so. So
No, but you're saying, I don't
guess
think I
that's
was
it.
molested. But
I
then
guess that's
sometimes you
it.
use it. You go, I think I was molested. It's like you've now talked yourself into thinking you were molested. You really have no basis. You just,
Okay.
That
I mean-
is crazy.
Rachel, were you
Well,
molested?
I don't know.
She's saying she doesn't know. That's not talking yourself into it because she doesn't know yet. But also,
I also thought.
But she acts as if she's already been molested
she's
and
trying
she
to
doesn't
figure
know.
it out. But if you
and
if you
I had
nail
a
her about it
pedophile
early,
in my life. if you grow up around a pedophile, even if they don't physically touch you, that still affects your psyche.
Yeah, no, they're definitely molesters, at least looking at pictures or whatever.
I remember you share this publicly. So in your hospital hour show, you talk about there being someone in your life who,
Yes.
Who
Stop, we're gonna bleep it.
Who at least had those predilections. Okay, so I'm guessing that your sibling is remarking on this issue in memory research.
And I have no memory.
Okay, yeah, that's actually it. And
She knows that having no memory means, like, she knows what this means. She says, I have no
she doesn't.
memory because she knows that people block out as a trauma response horrible memory. So she uses that knowledge. Had she not known the fact that people repress really traumatic memories, she may never have said that.
Why do
I'm
you
just
think
saying.
she's doing this?
I think
I don't know.
Well, so Robbie, I think you're actually like close to having a point.
Thank you.
But you're being so oppressive about it that Rachel's just going to double
Shut
down
down.
on her
I know.
position,
I
right?
know.
So, okay.
Do you personally think she was molested?
I don't think we have enough info
Rocco,
from
what
I
do you
think I
think?
might have been. She doesn't even know. How could I know? But
Rocco said no.
okay. There is a phenomenon.
And at the very least, I've been sexually assaulted.
Hey, me too.
So there you go, baby.
Same as well.
Well, autistic women are more likely to be sexually assaulted. Around 90% of autistic women have been sexually assaulted.
Were you actually sexually assaulted?
You better believe it.
Nice.
Well, is this sexual assault? I'll tell you, this guy, Justin,
Okay.
who I had a
Shout
really,
out to Justin on the podcast.
I don't know if he's the one I wouldn't give a shout out to, but anyway, he kind of had a Travis Barker, like he dressed in all black, kind of a punk thing. He knew good music or cool music. He was one of these guys in Montreal. He felt very artsy to me. I was kind of a goody two shoes at the time in school, and I had a crush on him. Always had a crush on him. He really didn't turn out great, but anyway. And he wasn't even that cute ever, but I guess at one point we were able to get together, and I went to his house, and they kind of just like whipped out we were like on his bed, and he like
Oh, is this the
took
bus
out
story?
his hard penis. No, a different guy. And I don't know, I kind of like really didn't want to. And then I kind of was like shoving him away, but I always felt weird about it.
And
Did anything happen?
No, I just kind of like was like,
kind of a
I
Lucy
kind of
Cage trapped me
don't
kind
want to
of
do this.
thing. Okay.
If I told you that story, would you say I was sexually assaulted?
Yeah. No.
Fair enough.
But if we're counting these things, I've had many instances like these things, and I really don't think they've been that bad.
Okay, so I think we've gone through the DSM criteria except for these questions. So difficulty initiating social interactions, or exhibiting unusual or unsuccessful responses to social advances made by others.
I don't think so. I think sometimes at a party, I was at a party the other night, lots of lesbians, and I was pretty intimidated, so I didn't go up to them. Does that count?
Sounds like social anxiety, maybe.
Yeah.
But, okay.
I went to a party yesterday, and this guy was there. And I found out about his job. I was happy he was in LA, and I was happy for him. But I think I made him feel weird about it.
Here's a quote I have from you, Robbie. People ask me, what do I do on the weekend? Nothing, because I've got a personality. I assume that means you don't need to interact with people. You enjoy being alone.
No, it's
You
just,
enjoy solitude.
it was more common. That's my stand-up, which is unfair to apply to my real life because
I
the
was gonna ask
stand-up
that.
is an exaggeration of things in my
Interesting.
life many
Okay.
times. Because it's entertainment also.
Yes.
And it also pokes fun of myself. In that same special, I make fun of rock climbers. I rock climb.
Okay.
So people I make fun of pizza. People see me eating pizza and I go, yeah, it's a joke. These are
Okay,
comments
okay.
on things that
I
I
get
also
it.
relate to.
Okay, but I didn't know if that was the case here. But okay.
And it was just a
but
comment
you-
on the 9-to-5ers and how they live for the weekend and they have to do everything. It's like,
I agree with the take,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I mean, most people are very boring. Most people's lives are shit. Okay. 2, tries to joke her way out of conflicts with friends and cops, creating new problems. That's what I have down for you. Didn't you try to joke your way out of a cop problem?
I didn't joke my way when I got stopped with my sister. So I drove my sister down from Vancouver. We were driving on long stretches of freeway that had nobody there. I didn't know how fast I was going at all because there's not a car behind you. There's no benchmarking. There's not a car in front of you. You're just
you have a
listening to
speedometer.
tunes. Yeah, you're not really looking at the speedometer. You're looking at the road. You don't know because you
No,
don't
I
drive.
don't know. I'm just offering an observation.
Okay. She doesn't drive. If you're just looking at the speedometer, you're leaving the road. I'm telling you right now. Okay. So anyway, free falling, regular road trip music is playing. We're having a good time. Suddenly there's sirens. We get pulled over. Guy goes, "Do you know how fast you were going?" I go, "Honestly, I got no clue. You got me. However fast you think I was going, I was going. I have to be honest with you. I wasn't looking at the speedometer. There's nobody in front of me. I'm sorry. Whatever, I definitely, if you say I was speeding, I was speeding. I have no idea how fast I was going. I wasn't paying attention. We had a good tune. We were singing and we were enjoying. And he didn't give us a ticket.
I don't think that's the story. There was some other story where you like tried to sweet talk a cop out of a
She's a
problem,
sweet
and you were
talker.
like, "But I was bombing." Okay. Well, I mean, what I'm hearing from you, Robbie, is mostly, yes, I fit all the criteria, but for good reason.
Yeah.
Which I agree with. It's
So I'm
a
not. So what
wonderful
is your
personality type.
diagnosis?
But Rachel, the other thing I wanted to ask you about was sensory issues. So I have down for you vulvodynia, which is a sensory disorder.
What's a vulvodynia?
My vagina hurts.
She made up her bruises on there. I'm not surprised.
Autonomic nervous system dysfunction, because you said you're dizzy all the time. Was that accurate? It was on stage, so maybe it was.
Yeah, no, it's not so.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes I have low blood sugar, low blood pressure.
Okay.
She doesn't know that. She thinks that. She has vertigo suddenly. It's like,
IBS is correlated with autism
yep.
bigly, and
Also Judaism.
hyperkinesis.
So what are you
Don't like
trying to
sounds.
say, Carrie?
What's that?
IBS Judaism also. Big
Oh,
correlation.
is that true?
You know it's true.
No, I hadn't heard that. I have IBS though. I have it bad. It sucks. Do you guys have? You have?
I have
do you have it?
horrible.
Are you
No.
sure?
Great.
I don't think I have it.
Okay.
I
Well,
go to the bathroom once a week, though. People think that's weird.
Yeah, that's a huge issue.
so here's the DSM
How long you in there?
criteria. And if this were a class at Harvard Extension School, I would say that you had met all of the criteria, and I would say that I thought you guys had level 1 like me. Mm-hmm. But in
Me
order to
too?
know, yeah, I would.
What's that?
I just don't feel on par with you.
No. I don't feel
But
on par with
on
you.
par? No, not on par, not
Okay,
on par,
okay.
not on par. Like, I mean, there's the really more bombastic type of presence that Ravi has. That's great on stage, but on podcast, like you're feeling the brunt of it because you really like to fill in silence, and you like to think through silence,
Right.
and we're just watching that play
So
out.
what could we do to make a better podcast?
Oh,
Oh, good.
I have pitches.
Oh, thank God.
My God, I can't believe this.
This is the best guest we've had.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my God, thank you. Okay,
Someone with answers for Rachel's fucking disorder.
and we'll get back to your PCSD question. Okay, pitch number 1. Hosts fly out one out-of-town listener for Rachel's show Hospital Hour, but they have to stay with Robbie all weekend, and Robbie gets to tell them about the Holocaust the entire time.
Great. Well, they're not staying with me. That's out.
You can get an Airbnb.
I don't want to be anywhere near some stranger.
Oh, social anxiety.
No. Why would, do you want to have a sleepover with some random person from the
No,
internet?
absolutely
So I
not.
have autism because of that.
Yeah.
Like I have autism because I don't want some internet person to sleep in my bed with
I'm
me.
on Robbie's side with that one.
That's insane.
You could get different door, like get an Airbnb.
Why
with
do
your
I
own
have to
door.
stay with a stranger?
You don't have to. This is a
No,
pitch.
why does that give me autism? Why is that social anxiety? Like, who wants it? Like, I'm sorry, but that is a danger.
Your own volume will decrease if you plug up your own
This is
ears.
prom.
Yeah.
I love this. You know what? I do sleep with
you-
earplugs a lot because of the birds in the morning. They get up at 5 o'clock, 5 to 6. The birds go crazy, and then they're done.
God, same time every day.
It's crazy.
Wow.
They're autistic. Okay, so tell me what's your other pitch? That one's crazy.
Okay. Well,
That one is so unfair. And they get to Rachel gets 2 more ticket sales to her show. Like, it's not even
Okay. How about they get to go to dinner with you and you get to talk about the Holocaust the whole time?
But why do I have to go to dinner with a stranger and she just gets a stranger to see her show, which is what the point of the show is anyway?
This is social anxiety. And I have it too.
It's not social anxiety. I don't want to go for dinner with somebody from the internet that I don't know.
I would love to.
You would? Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
It sounds like social anxiety. Maybe it's not.
Oh my God.
I mean,
Admit that's the most unfair pitch you've ever heard. Somebody sleeps with me for 2 days.
I love it. I think
Okay,
it's
go ahead.
fabulous.
Next.
You get to talk about
Carrie,
the Holocaust
next.
for like an entire weekend. Okay.
That's any weekend anyway. I get to do that.
Okay, what if Gabby wins the contest?
Gabby could come. Yeah, Gabby's at my house.
Okay. Essay contest. Snail mail an essay to Robbie and Rachel about what the title of the show actually means. And you guys read the essays and
That's interesting.
Go too far. Robbie and Rachel drive east together from the Pacific and see how far you get before Rachel needs to get out.
I love that because I do want to give her driving lessons.
Okay.
I don't want to learn from you. I'm
No,
sorry.
yeah, I'm
makes
excellent to
sense.
learn from.
Oh.
And especially after that speeding story. And I'll tell you this, and we should, as we get into it, it's a great drive for driving lessons because we can get into states like Nevada where there's open, where you can really, here it's a little scarier to start to learn to drive. But in smaller towns, where it looks a little bit like, Pleasantville, it's very easy to drive.
Okay.
Fair. Yeah. La Crescenta is a good place to learn to drive.
Lockerstown?
La Crescenta.
Oh,
It's up above
Lockercenta. Sure,
Montrose.
sure.
Discuss a life goal, relationship, or piece of media you went too far in, like you wish you had given it up earlier.
Oh.
Yeah, I went really far. One of my first jokes ever was really inappropriate and wrong.
Okay.
We'll have to circle back.
Well, even
And then you
my
had to give it
use
up.
of the R word, I was using it as a joke to explain to Rachel that I would say rape or the R word, which I really don't like to say at times, but I was really going too far and I couldn't stop.
You the R slur as in
Special needs.
okay, the old term for disabled. Okay, got
Yeah, but one of my first jokes ever in comedy, which I used to really didn't even want to uncover, but this is years and years ago, was my little sister, Devora. Shout out to Devora. She worked at Starbucks and she did, often she did the late night shift where she got home at past midnight, 12:30 or whatever, after cleanup, whatever. And she would walk the 2 blocks from the subway to her house. It was very dangerous, kind of sketchy time for a small girl to be on her own. So she would walk in a way that made her look disabled.
it. Okay.
And I did her walk. It was a very convincing walk. And she just did it for 2 weeks. And it was really a matter of safety for her.
What?
So
it's
I was-
zigzagging?
No, you want me to do the walk?
No, I don't.
I kind of want you to do the walk.
Okay, it's real. I can't. It's not. It's giving Trump doing his thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh,
You know,
she was trying to
to look like pigeon toad. Or
She
something.
looked like really, maybe she had she was
Okay,
pretending to look like somebody who had cerebral palsy or something really physically disabling
Yes. Okay.
in order to look less desirable for rape.
I understand.
Wow. And
It's something I regret, but it was also the telling of a real thing.
oh, you regret using.
I used it
the
as
old term.
stand up.
Uh-huh.
It was a real thing. It was one of those complicated things it's actually happening. She's actually doing this. It's beyond offensive, but it's also effective.
Sure. But mostly what you seem to
I
feel
don't
bad
do
about
it.
is using the word.
By the way, I had another comedian point out to me how terrible it was.
Yeah.
And I really did feel bad about it, but I was also retelling. It was kind of the same, having my little sister Yehudis on the shout out to Yehudis
Shout out.
when she was talking about her perspective on my top surgery and whatever. She's very offensive, but it's true. This is what her, you know what I mean? What am I supposed to do about it? I'm conflicted whether I share this with an audience, but it's so offended. It's so offensive, but it's
is
also
it the-
so true.
Is it the story or is it the way you're telling the
Yeah,
story?
is it the
It
R-
was
is it just the
everything.
R
It was
word?
everything.
Oh, it's not
I
everything.
did the act out. The act out itself.
Okay.
Right. So
Okay.
it's the delivery because you could tell that in
You
a
could.
way that is like, this is a
now, but I was also just starting out. I was doing everything verbatim. I wasn't even always joke writing. Sometimes I would just, my mother came over to, working out how to even do comedy.
yeah.
I would say it got many laughs. The act out was really the punch, people liked the act out.
Oh, they liked it. Okay, so then what happened? What made you roll back?
I thought like, I don't, like if it
Yeah,
hurts somebody,
you
or if
shouldn't
it's
be
wrong,
doing
I
that.
just, it wasn't worth the laughs.
But so who brought that up to you? How did you find out? Oh no, I think I went too far.
This comedian has told many, but also I started growing up a little bit. It's the same thing that early on I had this joke, where I make fun of, where I had this very fat phobic joke, and it was about early dating. Dating online had just like really come out, and a lot of people were just posting like a headshot, and I said, what's the plan here for date 2? Like so you're going, surprise, I'm fat.
Sure.
Like, just if you're fat, do that. If you're thin, And a girl who followed me, it was even my first year stand-up, something really, really, really years ago. She messaged me on Facebook Messenger, which was big at the time. And she messaged me like, oh, I came for a good time, for a laugh. And you've always been a fan. And I've never been, I'm somebody who isn't any of those things. And she was like, and that hurt me. And I said, oh my God, like it's just not how, I just don't like to hurt people.
Sure.
And I thought it was nothing. Also, I grew up with like, my mother being fat. It personally, I realized that I was like doing fat jokes that like my mother or my brother or like fat people in my family would do. But I really didn't have, like my mother always laughed at fat people, her being fat herself. And I think that was totally in her, that was a catharsis for her. Just like I make fun of dykes or whatever I make fun of, that feels like I can accept it so much that I can make fun of it or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
And it just felt off to hurt somebody. So I right away, I sat with that message. I wrote back to her. I said, honestly, and it was a big joke of mine at the time. It was getting a lot of heat. I said, I'm never doing it. And please, I hope you forgive me. You'll come to a show, wait for me, say hi, let me get you a drink. I really am sorry. And she did. And she came up to me and I said, I'm just doing, I don't even know where I'm at yet.
But do you also think that you sometimes say things knowing that they're gonna be offensive or hurt someone, and then you only recoil when you get pushback?
No, I think I do. So I think I have a lot more finesse now. I think the difference is I don't mind pushback. And I've said this before on this podcast, I don't mind, which is my hype or whatever, or the repetitive or whatever, but I don't mind being offended. I don't think people shouldn't be hurt. I don't think you should, I don't think a life without hurt feelings or offenses makes any sense. I think it's good to feel. I just think I have a lot more finesse with it. I know people, I think there's just a different finesse to it, walking the line, versus something was just offensive or not. Now I have a place and a way to, you know what I mean? It's just a lot more. So yes, I definitely push things sometimes, and that's a lot of fun. But I think people know that I'm having it reads different versus back then when I was like literally just doing a fat joke that like is just cheap almost. I don't think I do cheap things anymore. I like to push, but I push where I should push. I push at things that are
You push further than that.
I don't know if I'm articulating myself well right now, but yeah, those are I think we all have I think it's like looking at old. If you're a writer and you read old writing, it's tough. If I look at old stand-up, it can be tough. You know?
Totally.
Just things like that, because you see your growth.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to
Or
me.
it's like looking at pictures of me when I was more femme. I'm like, my God, just you see your growth.
Well, I hear in that you got a DM, so it was written.
That was
That often matters, because then you have time to actually like absorb. You don't feel put upon to be funny in response. You have time to actually think.
Yeah, and it wasn't fun. Like if it's not, hurting somebody who's also a fan of mine is like, what kind of a thank you is that?
Well, right, but okay. The distinction that I'm making in my mind
Yeah.
is between the understanding that you had for this fan who said, "I'm not even fat," but that made me feel bad, right?
No, she was fat.
She was fat. Okay. Or
But she said I was
self-identified as
coming
fat.
out to have a good time, whatever, and
yeah.
and it's like my friend, not to say, but it's like, yeah, it just, oh my God, like like it just wasn't true about me. I think where I have a disconnect is like, I'm not fat phobic, and I like fat people. I don't know if you can say that, but I really, I really tend to really get along with fat people. I like anyone who's been other in society in any way. I tend to have a basic, we just get along. We speak the same language, even if
Do you
it's.
identify with that?
With what?
Like preferring to hang out with people who identify as othered?
I think growing up, my friend group was very diverse, and I often hung out with like the scholarship kids because I felt more comfortable in that
The scholarship
space.
kids, Jesus.
Can you stop vaping right in my face? Also, yeah, I was a scholarship kid.
Oh, the scholarship.
Oh,
I
so
thought
that
you
was your
meant
peer
like,
group.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, you meant like financial scholarship.
yeah, financial, but also that correlates with like racial and ethnic diversity often.
Yeah. No, exactly. I thought you meant like the valedictorian type kids.
Oh, no,
who take the
no.
tennis lessons and
No.
horse lessons, and they get these
No,
scholarships
no,
to go.
that was
So
not my
anyway,
group.
I just also, it was like, so, because I once asked my therapist, what does shame mean? And this relates to this, because I often have trouble going, people live lives of such shame. She goes, shame, she explained it one way like this, and I think there are other definitions, but she said shame is like it is not living true to yourself. It's like shame is like, yeah, something to the effect of it's something that is not feeling,
Authentic?
yeah, true to yourself or whatever. And so I think with that, for instance, it's like, no, I actually like fat people. I have trouble saying that even because I don't want it to come off like I but I do relate just whether it's feeling like the odd one out because you're poor or you're a dyke or you're autistic or you feel strange. I find that my fat friends have always been, mistreated and othered for ways that aren't in their control and not anything that they should feel bad about. So we just speak the same language. Many times we get along just for that reason. So it also just wasn't true to myself. And that's why when that girl pointed it out, she saw me. I was like, yeah, you're totally right. And I'm sorry that you had to be you had to, take that hurt for me to learn.
What advice do you think that person would give Rachel for how to express to you when she feels that way?
I don't think Rachel feels that way.
What do you say, Rachel?
Wait, what way specifically?
That Robbie sometimes makes a joke that you understand, but it might come at the expense of a group that you feel personally attached to. Like maybe she makes a joke that seems like it comes at the expense of trans people or some other group that you feel in-grouped with in some way. Because that's what this.
Well,
person
I'm more
did,
trans than you. You're detransitioning.
Okay, wait. Try to take the
She
example
relates
out
to
of
the
it.
detransition.
Try to take the example out.
She relates to the detransitioner community.
I know. Trans issues was on your special interest list. I should not have used it as an example. But when you feel like
Robbie, please.
do you feel like, Rachel, you can get the same response that she gave to that writer when that writer wrote in and let her know that she'd hurt her feelings?
I think because Robbie and I have a personal relationship, I think if I truly, I don't know. It's so
We've had heart to hearts.
we have had heart to hearts, but it
good.
really it really is a cycle of like sometimes I really feel like we're connected and she's hearing me, and then it just will go completely the other way, and I'm like, oh my god.
Well, we've had a real reversal. What people don't know is I'm very kind. even though I'm aggressive.
It
Even
reeks
when
to
you
me. I
said a
actually
group of
know
fat
it.
people, I felt bad about that because I don't think all fat people are the same and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to say all dykes are the same or all poor people, anything like that. And even talking about fat people, saying fat people feels offensive, even though it shouldn't. And I want to include and be honest. And you know what I mean? I just talk honestly about stuff. But Rachel, just this past weekend, as we were trying to coordinate whatever, Rachel was being kind to me in text, which I go, okay. And I go, what's up? And she goes, I'm trying to work on being nicer to you,
Softer.
softer to me.
'Cause I
Because she
actually
actually
think-
isn't very kind to me.
That's
Whoa,
not
whoa, whoa,
true.
Soft isn't the same as kind.
I actually think I'm very kind to you. Do a lot of accommodating.
If soft
a
is kind,
lot-
you are fucked, Robbie. Soft is not kind. You know that it's not because you're brash and kind.
Yep.
See? Soft is different from kind.
Yep.
Rachel could have been kind to you this whole time and still been softer.
I would
more
say I'm
recently.
very kind to you, but I think Robbie responds better to me if I'm being softer. So I'm making more of an effort.
Because I'm very soft with her. And even though
Well-
the French... No, I am.
No, the stuff that goes
great
on.
idea. Great idea. Okay.
The stuff that goes on, and I don't want to get
can't
into
even
it. And some
But-
people, whatever. But and it's not to say anything disparaging, and not, but the dynamic on the pod exists outside of the pod as well.
Okay. So, okay. Well, that at least lets us know that it's sincere. It tells us
Definitely.
something. It really
Right,
does.
but that makes it harder to delineate joking versus not joking.
Totally. So I think I would look up advice for people who have to deal with
This
someone.
is like hushed in the attic.
Yeah.
That's a huge issue.
I know.
Don't you think?
Yes.
This is my life. Barely,
Oh, hey,
we barely
Robbie.
talked.
Oh, hey, we were just talking about Marvel
saying?
movies, the Holocaust.
So you guys were talking about me. It's so rude to talk about a person when no, it really is. It's an autistic
We don't
thing.
even know how. We went nonverbal because of our autism. Okay, PTSD versus autism. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you
and-
want to do whatever you wanted to do.
Well, I'm just because again, like I think that a lot of the things that I have that maybe youth consider autistic, not to say there's not overlap. And I had another person who's like was recently diagnosed with autism, who's also a journalist. This was a couple months ago. Reach out and like have me take these tests, and she was like, "Oh, I was wrong.
Oh, okay.
It is a trauma overlap." And so I'm just curious about the delineation and also what you think about trauma generally. Because my siblings like, you really should talk about trauma. It's kind
Okay.
of her area of expertise.
Oh, interesting.
I
Your
have
sibling probably
PTSD.
doesn't realize that I was just diagnosed with autism.
It's completely possible. But
Yeah.
they listen to
I
every
haven't-
single episode.
I haven't said it on the show.
Oh.
This is my special interest, you guys.
Wow.
Yeah, for real. Like, yeah, for real. You got me through a lot. I mean it. Yeah. Oh, and I also wanted to tell
Let's
you.
give a hand, everyone.
Nice. How lovely. Thank you.
I know that must feel really weird for you, Rachel, because you're suffering, but you have helped me.
I
You're gonna get
appreciate it.
through it. You guys are doing something really cool and unusual.
By the way, what's surprising
cute.
that's not on your list is Hereditary.
Oh, well, yeah, that's
my
not in
mother-
the DSM. It should be.
It
should be.
really should be. It's
It
like the
should
number
be.
one thing. If you've met my mother or my father and some of my siblings, like it's definitely in the family. Even my little sister Devora, she's got the autistic moments, Yehudis. We all have it. Shut up.
If you take a test called Nebula Genomics, it's $900.
Nope.
But it will tell
get the
you
Patreon.
which
more than the
alleles
computer.
you have that are correlated with autism. They look for at least one. Do you want to guess how many I have?
By the way,
100.
there's something wrong with the test to begin with. There's a conflict of interest. The fact that it's a $900, you can't take this. It's not objective. They're incentivized to make money by giving you a diagnosis.
Well, I didn't ask them for a diagnosis.
It doesn't
I
matter. They
just
give
spit
you one
into a
so you
tube.
feel so they have people who
Oh,
come
you
back.
spit into a tube.
It was anonymized. I just spit into a tube. I sent them spit. They said your 97th percentile risk for schizophrenia, which my sibling has, and your 75th percent risk for ASD, which I had already been diagnosed with.
This test sounds
What's
like
ASD?
Theranos.
Autism spectrum disorder.
You just breathed in a tube?
spit. Okay, and anyway, the answer was 8. They looked for one allele. I had 8 autism alleles.
Pretty
Why are you
interesting.
happy about this? Because there's an autism. No, you and Rachel have a similar thing where you like having a disorder.
No, I feel
This is an autistic thing you like. Your victim mentality is just
I don't feel
it's
victimized
insane.
by it.
You also
I
have a
don't at all
victim
feel
mentality, by
victimized
the
by
way.
it.
Yes. Oh, I'm poor. My
I was
dad
poor.
didn't
I'm
do
horrified
it.
by this injustice,
Well,
and
but
I
I'm
will
just
talk about
saying,
it
you
till the end
also
of time.
do.
No,
And yours
no,
aren't more
I have
valid
the
than
victim
anyone
mentality for
else's.
most of the world. I'm speaking for the current victims of poverty. I am
No,
horrified
you
on their
also
behalf.
use it to justify your behavior, and you explain
well, how
yourself.
I grew up is very
But how
different.
is that any different than what we're talking about?
No, because you're like excited to have 8 of these things
You
when you
talk
know you have
so
light.
excited about your history. Are you
No,
kidding me? It's all you like to
do you
talk
understand,
about.
Rocco, that she was like, I have 8. She knows nothing's wrong with her.
It's
Wait,
crazy.
what's Carrie doing?
She's reading.
Sorry. What were we talking about? Oh, whether there's anything wrong with me. No, I agree. There's nothing wrong with me. But I mean, I'm great. But just like many people have co-occurring conditions, one of mine is sensory sensitivities and the way that they interact with my central
Hereditary,
nervous
the
system.
fact that it's missing from that list is so glaring
agree.
that it makes me question the entire list.
Oh my God. Okay. We could run down the ICD-10, which is the international standard in the European Union, which does include genetics, if you really want to. But
Okay,
you
was
guys
there
said
anything
DSM earlier.
major on your list that you still haven't covered that you need to cover?
Oh my God. Major? No, I was just going through the DSM criteria for you guys. If you want to go through my spreadsheet and just go through like, this reminds me of myself or this sounds autistic to me, we would be here for hours.
Okay, whatever
How
you
long
feel.
is your spreadsheet?
Yeah, what are the categories?
Well, I have to say I started on Robbie because she had said she thought she had autism. So it's her appearances, which include the podcast.
Well, I like
but
to hear about
it's-
me. Is that autistic? Let me guess.
Let's see
Let me
there.
guess.
Okay, it looks like I listened to 8 episodes in order to log them and then took notes in each one. So like in the Seek Treatment podcast, I had 16 notes that reminded me of autism.
Like
So,
what?
I'm an old soul. That comes up all the time. Didn't know it was annoying to be on until people told you. Pattern seeking, that's huge in autism. You said
Pattern seeking.
historically, if you have a lot of examples of the same thing, science would demand that we take note of it and mine the data and find patterns. Why wouldn't we do that now? Autistic.
Well, that was with near-death experiences and afterlife. I'm big on science, so sue me. I guess it's autistic.
It is autistic. That's right. Physical objects.
Is there anything about me that isn't autistic?
I like things and I like to touch things.
Yes. Is there anything that isn't autistic? Do I have anything?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Okay.
What does the DSM say for a
Okay.
normal person? Do we have a list of criteria for a normal person?
No, because the DSM's purpose is to get people funding for treatment. The whole idea of the DSM is
capitalist.
to
so then
to
it is.
interact
So
with
we actually
insurance
don't
companies.
have what a normal. Do you think there's one person on the planet who is considered normal?
Yes, I know one.
Who?
Kathleen,
Barack
my
Obama.
roommate.
Okay, fine.
I mean,
you-
What about trauma?
trauma. Okay. Trauma.
Don't
What
you
about
want to know about it?
Okay, so
Yeah.
PTSD is highly correlated with
question.
autism for a lot of reasons. So we have to take that off the
I have
table already.
PTSD.
Okay, do you want to talk about it?
No.
Okay. So here is a differential diagnosis.
And what does that mean exactly?
It's this is a Venn diagram that shows PTSD and autism, where they overlap, and which features are specific to PTSD and specific to autism. So you can go,
okay.
well, that sounds more like me. That sounds less like me. So I'll hand that to you. It's the,
Okay, and I'll read it out.
okay.
That's such small print. You have fabulous eyesight.
Oh, thank you.
Here's the overlap between PTSD versus autism.
Oh, this is good for me.
Dissociation, intimacy difficulty.
Wait, what's dissociation? Okay, fine.
You know what it is. You just talked about it on the pod the other day.
Yeah, but I think I had the wrong word. But you thought I had it right? Okay, anyway, go on.
Not sure. Dissociation is like when you feel like you're watching
I have
yourself
intimacy
or you're
issues
not present.
because I'm playing the boy without the boy.
Okay. Increased risk of victimization, negative beliefs of self and world, difficult.
Wait, you're reading too fast. What was after intimacy?
increased risk of victimization, negative beliefs of self and world, difficulty managing intense emotions, heightened sensitivities to sensory output, high rates of, you're pointing to me?
No, me.
High rates of substance abuse, depression, self-harm, suicidality,
You're
hypervigilance.
vaping right now.
No. But she self harm and she takes pills.
Yeah,
and
but you're vaping.
my vape
You're
is
vaping
nothing
in
compared.
front of me.
My vape. She's on all kinds of pills.
That might be
I'm on
true,
one
but I
pill.
have to say,
And yes, I have had substance issues,
and
it's
she
an
has
audio
scars.
medium. I'm
She
looking at a vape
self-harms.
listener.
I've never
She
self-harmed.
picks her face.
Well,
She
that's
self-harms
different. But
plenty.
you pick your hair.
No,
you
I don't self harm.
You can
pick
just
your
see
behavior.
mine.
No, I don't pick my hair. I twist it. It's
You have a
a
bald spot, you
self-soothing.
said.
It's self-soothing.
Stimming, yeah.
Go ahead.
Hypervigilance / overactive nervous system, heightened startle response, yes. Impulse control difficulties, executive functioning difficulties, sleep issues, and stimming.
What's stimming?
That's what you have a lot.
Stimming?
Shaking your feet, needing to use your hands a lot, needing to vape, needing to drink
You
a
have
tea
it.
while you talk.
Okay, and okay.
Okay, but then here's what's different with autism that doesn't have PTSD.
Oh, okay.
Repetitive behaviors and self-soothes through use of routines.
Is that autism or PTSD?
Autism.
No,
Yeah,
that's not self-soothing. Has to be PTSD.
but it's repetitive and routine.
Doing the same thing.
I'm gonna kill you.
Difficulty intuitively reading NT social cues. What's that?
Oh, a neurotypical.
Neurotypical.
What's that?
A
social cues.
normo. Neurotypical.
Difficulty what?
Intuitively reading neurotypical social cues.
Okay, I don't know.
Sensory sensitivities, part of baseline experience, and special interests.
I don't have the special interest thing.
Yes, you do.
Oh, my Lord.
Cars,
Oh, my
watches,
Lord.
clothes.
I love watches.
Oh my Lord.
Okay, then this is just PTSD, not autism. Presence of traumatic event.
Who doesn't have an interest? Like literally.
I
Like
tend
what
to agree.
8-year-old boy
I
doesn't have
agree.
cars all
Oh,
over the room?
I think
Okay,
an
I'll answer this.
encyclopedic, not well. Yeah, you should.
I'll answer
Okay,
this
but
one
let me
then.
just. Okay, PTSD, not autism. Presence of traumatic event. We both have that. Avoidance behaviors. I have that. Intrusive memories and flashbacks. I have that. Hypervigilance. I have that. Nightmares. I have that.
Yes, I have nightmares. It's terrible.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's this. You guys can see.
So I have everything of all the sections. So what does that mean?
Well, so PTSD is more common in autism, so it doesn't tell us a ton because the central nervous system of autistic people is so hyper aroused already that when you enter a traumatic environment, you are more likely to see that event as really catastrophic, perseverate about it for weeks or months. And I actually think this kind of reflects the role that you play in your community. Like, you are a person who, like, really thinks about things after they happen and doesn't want them to happen again and
Yeah.
wants to understand what happened and understand all of the features.
you
and,
think that about Robbie?
Yeah,
or one.
She does think that about
one.
me. I am a
I do
reflective
think it about Robbie,
individual.
but I think I think it about you too.
She doesn't think that about you. You're forcing her into it.
Oh, no. I'm talking about PTSD, which you said you have, and you said you have.
But she says she has everything.
Okay, but
So you have to take that with a grain of salt.
Why?
What
you
I'm-
have
what I'm
everything
narrowing
for
in on
I
autism.
only have PTSD. I have everything in the PTSD. I have everything in that whole thing, but I have PTSD, and according to you, I have autism. But they're missing the big hereditary thing. So I don't know if their list is even right.
in the DSM.
Oh, what's
Yeah.
some-
Oh,
Did you bring us books?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so Robbie, I think your homework is autism as context blindness.
the fuck!
Which is
Why is this guy wearing my glasses in every shade?
a kind of emerging theory of autism, which is that autistic minds just have trouble floating between contexts. So someone
what?
in one context points out to you, like, I don't love it when you say something mean about my skin, even if I've already said it. I feel like that should just be me. But then you move to another context and you forget that rule. It's just gone from you. The brain doesn't pull it up as quickly. Now,
Do you think that's true?
I think the example was relevant. I think it's a similar example. I've seen ways in lives where this type of
But it's this thing where you kind of say, like, I'm very aware and I know that I'm pushing and whatever. But then you're also like, oh, I guess I just don't have the context. It's like, which is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you
I don't really
fuck-
understand what context means then.
Oh, cute. Okay. Okay, context is like the
The circumstance in
yeah.
which something
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So
the
I
larger
understand.
picture.
I don't at all mention your skin anymore.
Oh, that's good.
The only reason it came up today was because I was accused of not looking at her eye, and I gave an honest answer as to why that is sometimes.
Just for the listener who's never seen Rachel, also like very typical skin. Just
She's
like,
got
not
good
even-
skin. It's
not
much better
even
now.
any blemishes.
And she is a cutie patootie.
She is. She's
As
very
I've
cute.
said. As I've said.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Okay. But yes, so context blindness is this feature called cytexia is the scientific term that we're bad at floating between contexts, and we
Looks
tend
like
to
Robbie.
have big brain mass, and that means more neural connections, so it takes a longer time to go around the brain and make those connections, which puts stand-up comedians in kind of a funny position because you're supposed to be very quick on your feet.
I'm very quick on my feet.
You are, but that might mean that you speak before you've gone through that whole network, and now you're already committed. You've already made a joke about how she's ugly or whatever, and then like you get
Never
all the way
made
back
such
to
a-
the rule and go, oh shit, I broke the rule, didn't I? What could I do now? What adjustment could I make?
Yeah.
I want to do a pro-social
I feel
thing
bad.
now, but
I
what
always,
do I do?
you know what? I'm always learning. Here's something that I do on the podcast that I think is brave, not to toot my own horn, and is brave of the podcast generally, is I don't pretend to be perfect and not make mistakes.
Yeah.
The thing is when I make the mistakes, even if I make them and make them and make them, I want to, you know, I acknowledge them, and I'm not pretending like I don't edit them or cut them or pretend they didn't happen. It's kind of like when the history wants to rewrite itself, or this country doesn't want to talk about slavery or whatever. They kind of want to rewrite how things are. I'm not rewriting, I'm showing, and maybe that's terrible, but also it is what it is. That's the way I'm approaching it.
What do you think you might be rewriting?
Like I'm saying, like, let's say I make a mistake or whatever, like you're saying, like, oh, I shouldn't have talked about this. I ended up talking about this. I could cut that. We, you know, but I don't
yes.
listen to any of the episodes. I don't make any cuts because I think like,
You do
Well-
sometimes.
yeah, but only when you really get in my head about it. Like
That's not true.
But many times you do.
Only with very personal things, but there are some. I don't want.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
just, there
Okay. But
are.
we show a lot.
Yes,
I show a lot.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, remember earlier when I said
If I do think something is way more hurtful than it is helpful to see a mistake, maybe we'll cut that.
well, I mean, I've been in this position too. Like I've been podcasting since 2011.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you say stuff and then you realize
Do you
how it
think our
sounded.
podcast will get bigger, or we're just plateauing?
Yeah. What do you think?
I have no idea what the size of your podcast is. I just know
We
I
have
love
about
it.
12 to 13,000 listeners a week now.
And so that's, I only know our raw download
Wow,
numbers.
I didn't know
don't
we were
our-
there.
Can I give out the rest of my books?
Yeah. This is the end.
It can be. Okay, I have gifts for Gabby. Loving someone with Asperger's syndrome. That's for Gabby.
Oh, no. No. No.
The electricity of every living thing. I think you'll like this one.
Okay.
That's by
A woman's walk in the wild to find her way home.
Yeah, you're right. That's a bad subtitle.
No, I'm not giving this to
but-
Gabby.
But
I'm not giving this to Gabby.
I'll
You
give
can
it to
take this
Gabby.
off.
I'll
No.
give it to Gabby.
okay, so I guess you're not going to want to give Gabby love and Asperger's. Then.
No, I'm not giving her that.
Let's see.
And maybe you can get it. To
Just
Gabby.
take it
Just,
home.
like,
We'll put it in the
mail
car.
to her or
You just leave it
something.
in the car, and then your car
These
gets
Gabby
books,
stolen.
wait,
seems-
these books should be behind us on the
I-
podcast. You know, people have
I
them.
listen to Gabby's podcast now. She's wonderful,
Oh,
and I
she's
call
wonderful.
her your Drew. Drew is my husband, and I say like, "Oh, she's holding Robbie down."
Does
the
she
way
have
you hold
does
me
she
down."
have autism of any kind?
Why is
Oh, I
that
don't know. I haven't
book bitten
followed her
up? Who
close enough.
ate
The
that
dog.
book?
The
My
dog.
little doggy
Okay,
Bly.
just checking. I don't know. Maybe
Never
it's
seen a
autistic.
dog eat
You
a
want a
book?
book?
So this is Neurotribes, which I found really boring. Does anyone want it?
No.
What is it?
It's
No,
about
stupid.
autism as
So
a
big.
phenotype.
I thought it was a cookbook. Show them.
It's very, very popular. It won a Pulitzer
Robbie.
Prize, I think.
That way.
Okay, we don't like that. Great.
Why aren't you listening to me? That way. Blow it.
Rachel, this one's for you. This is called Win Your Case. America's winningest trial lawyer teaches you to persuade, and prevail every place and every time.
So I get this, and she gets. Okay.
I get a book about a woman walking in the woods and how to be on the
And I
Supreme
get
Court.
love and Asperger.